Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and bell icon now so you never miss an episode. If you're interested in dating, relationships, improving your confidence, improving your life and friendships, this is the channel to be. So like I said, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon right now. So in today's episode, we're going to be discussing how to be more confident as an asexual. So you might have noticed the title. I said how to be a confident asexual solo artist of life. And this is what I want you to think about as a single asexual person. When I say single, I mean you're not in a relationship. So some asexuals struggle with being single. They struggle with being happy being single. Other asexuals are very happy being single on their own. But some asexuals really struggle. And I find this is mostly people who, like myself, are romantic asexuals. It can be very difficult when you're romantically inclined and you crave a relationship, or even some aromantic asexuals, although they are not romantic, they do miss that companionship. They miss a kind of camaraderie of being in a platonic relationship, a queer platonic relationship. And so they feel that something's lacking within them or lacking in their life. Okay. So we need to address these issues. So first of all, you might, like I said, have noticed this title, Solo Artist of Life. And this is what I want you to think about being single as, that it's like a piece of artwork that you are building and creating and refining for yourself. And so you are a solo artist of your own life, which means you can decide how you paint your picture of life, how you paint your next chapter of life, how you evolve as a person, how you come into your own, how you be. I want you to think of being single as like a piece of artwork that's so beautiful, so amazing, and you can create it however you wish to create it. Right? You have no one holding you back because you have no one telling you what to do, or you shouldn't have anyone telling you what to do. You can go where you want, do what you want when you want, right? And so basically, if you're not in a relationship, you are in your essence, your own person more than any other time. Because if you do get into a relationship, inevitably you will both rub off on each other and end up with some of each other's traits, or accepting things that maybe you wouldn't have accepted before, compromising, doing things that you maybe don't even really enjoy. And so, when you get into a relationship, you can feel like you lose part of yourself. There are positives to being in a relationship. There's a lot of positives, but there's also a lot of negatives, right? So it depends how you get on in a relationship. It depends how that relationship is and whether it's healthy or unhealthy. It depends if it grows you or holds you back. It depends on if you feel like you're being cherished, loved, adored, and cared for and understood, or it depends if you feel like abandoned, neglected. So is it a positive experience or not, right? So when you get into a relationship, you can feel like you're losing yourself, especially if you never knew who you were in the first place. That's why it's really important when you are single, whether you choose to get into a relationship later or not, that you actually find yourself and you come to understand who you are. But because only then can you grow in confidence. And this can take time. Sometimes you might not know your life purpose. You might not understand why you're here in life. You might think, oh my God, why am I here? What's the point? Right? But you need to make your mission of your life to find your life purpose. And this we do through exploration, experimentation. And this is how we come into our own. So I want you to stop being afraid of failing. Stop being afraid of making mistakes, right? I got taught years ago. I wasn't personally taught this, but I actually came across this on LinkedIn, which is a business social networking site. But I've always remembered this, and it completely changed my life for the better forever. And that is, there are no mistakes in life, just lessons we learn from. There are no mistakes. So therefore, it means you can't fail at all, ever. Doesn't matter what hardships or pain or things you went through. that were challenging, or maybe some other people thought you might have made a mistake. Maybe even it's something that you might call a mistake normally. But if we don't think of mistakes, we just think of life lessons that we learn from and experiences we have, then this in effect lets us off the hook from feeling guilty towards ourselves and living with regret all the time. Regret is a negative energy, it's a negative force. If you live with the regret and feel guilty all the time, you will not grow in confidence. You will hold yourself back. So we need to feel that every decision we make is the right decision. We're hardwired in our brain to think, oh, I'm not making the right decision, doubting myself. Should I have done this? Should I have done that? This is how the brain actually works. It's designed to be in survival mode and protect ourselves, but it can actually cause a lot of internal damage to ourselves. We damage ourselves with our brain and what we allow it to think and the way it processes information. We can't help it a lot of the time because we're hardwired, like I said, to keep ourselves safe, but we have to understand that we do have some power over our brain and that we can change our direction of our life. If you feel like you can't change your direction of your life, you can't do anything different, you'll feel powerless, and this will decrease your confidence. So you have to understand you are in the driving seat of your own life. But what does this mean? Like, how does it impact you? It means you need to take utter responsibility for everything that happens in your life. So as we grow up and go through from childhood to adulthood, we usually don't even accept responsibility for our own actions. We're used to, as children, relying on parents, grandparents, peers, teachers, and through college and university, we're used to looking up to people. If something goes wrong, it's because the teacher didn't teach us, right? Or is it because we didn't understand the information as a student? We didn't take it in a certain way, right? We don't need to play the blame game. Or what we do need as adults is to take complete responsibility for everything we do, right? It doesn't mean to say you're responsible for another person's bad behavior, because you're not, and the way you treat them, but you are responsible for what you continue to allow and to accept, right? So if we end up, for example, and I've done this myself, and it can still happen to the best of us, right? But if we allow ourselves to, for example, stay in an abusive relationship, we are enabling that person to be abusive, because we're not saying, hey, enough is enough, I'm leaving this relationship because I don't want to be abused anymore. We are keeping the cycle of abuse going with that particular person. We're not asking them to abuse us when we don't deserve to be abused, right? But by staying in the relationship, you're enabling that bad behavior to continue towards you, because they're not going to stop. And unfortunately, they'll give you all excuses, understand, like, I won't do this again, I'm a changed person. You can't just change just like that, right? And so anyway, you need to understand that people are responsible for their own behavior just as much as you're responsible for yours. You're not responsible for another person's behavior towards you. You're not responsible for their life choices and their decisions. All you're responsible for is yourself. But I want you to stop feeling guilty every time you do something that doesn't turn out right. I have dates. I had a date on Sunday, right? Didn't turn out the way I'd hoped it to turn out. But it turned out how it needed to turn out, because the guy wasn't right for me. He wasn't completely honest. And so it's better that I move on and forward with my life. It's better that he set me free. Yes, it hurts sometimes, but it's much better that I knew sooner rather than later and didn't waste any more of my time, right? And so whenever you're getting over heartache, heartbreak as a single person, or whether, or, maybe you've had dates yourself, or maybe you're just fed up of the right friend not coming along, this type of thing, it can really knock us back a bit, and maybe our self-confidence, self-esteem. I've learned the fact that even if I date someone, if it doesn't turn out right, it's not because I'm a bad person or I'm unworthy of love. It's just that they're the wrong person for me and I'm the wrong person for them. Doesn't mean to say either of us are bad people. I mean, obviously there are people on dating apps that are bad. I mean, lying is a bad thing. There's no two ways about it. I don't want to be with anyone who can lie to me in the slightest, right? So it's not a good trait to have. But if that person's lying to me, it's obvious that I'm not right for them, because they've chosen to not be honest with me in the first place. If they can't be honest with me in the first place, then I'm not right for them. They're not right for me, right? And so it enables us to move on. But what I want you to do is not blame yourself, but you do have to reflect on your own behavior as well. You have to say, hey, could I have prevented this? Could I have stopped this? Did I contribute to this? You can ask yourself the question. Doesn't mean to say it's going to be yes. It could be no. I acted accordingly. I was honest with the person. They weren't honest with me. Time to move on. And so you need to have a great degree of responsibility for your own actions, understanding you're not responsible for other people's actions. And so therefore you only have to look after yourself. So there's less responsibility when you realize you don't have to take care of everyone else's needs. You can just look after yourself and realize that, you are a very, very important person in your own life. So always, always know that you're the most important person in your life, because you're the one who's got to spend 365 days a year with yourself, all year round. And you're the one who's got to live with yourself day in, day out. So it's important that you grow your confidence and self-esteem. Confidence means that you feel able to tackle the day, able to tackle the work that you need to do, able to tackle the relationships you need to have, able to tackle and deal with yourself on a day-to-day basis. Right? If you're feeling bad about yourself, you won't be confident, because if someone comes along that says negative stuff towards you, then you will take that on board and you'll absorb it like it's the truth. Just because someone's negative towards you doesn't mean to say that you've done anything bad or wrong, or that you're a bad person or not good to be around. It means that that person reacted or acted in that way at the time, but they might have had stuff going on in their own life that caused them to react. So, for example, if I say something about being honest, that could trigger someone and say, hey, you're talking about being honest, but I was honest with someone and they still cheated on me and stuff like this. You know what I mean? That can trigger them, even the word honest. So, you have to understand that people, when they talk to you and they react, they're reacting from their place at the time, what's going on in their life, what's going on in their mind. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you, right? And you shouldn't put that on yourself. So in order to grow confidence as an asexual person, you need to first take responsibility for your own life, your own actions, your own self. You need to then understand that another person's problems, issues, or responsibilities are not your responsibility. You're responsible for your own behavior, not other people's. You need to also understand, like I said, there are no mistakes you can make in life, just lessons you learn from and experiences you have. So everything you do in your life teaches you something or gives you a certain experience in your life. And then that can send you off in another direction that's a direction you're meant to be in. If you think that everything happens for a reason and there's nothing you can't handle in the end, then it just grows your confidence, because you have the ability then to believe you can work anything out. If you look back in your life and you think of all the issues and problems you've had, reflecting, not focusing heavily, like this is going to be really bad if you just focus on it. But what I'm saying is, for this period of time, think back to any issues and problems you have in your life and how you overcame those issues and problems, right? And if you think about how you overcame those issues and problems, that you did overcome those issues and problems, then it means that you can do it again. You need to look for evidence of when you've achieved success, when you've done something in life, when you've pushed through fears and boundaries, when you've come out the other side, when you've got a better life, when you've improved yourself, improved your life in some way. Look for evidence of when you've done that before, to be confident and knowing that you can do it again, right? So if you've got through hard times before, like I could have been made homeless, right? Because a couple of, like one time potentially in my life, because I had to leave a management job, which was paying like some of my rent and stuff. I got really poorly in it. I had to like go from a full-time wage to like statutory sick pay and some benefits. And then I had to eventually leave, and it was really difficult for me to do that, but I had to do it. Right? But potentially I could have lost my home had I not been able to be on benefits. And you can't just go from a job to benefits in the UK. You have to be able to prove there was a real legitimate reason why you had to leave that job. And so, that was potential like homelessness problem. But I faced real homelessness when I was I faced the prospect of real homelessness. So one's just potential, the other one's like you are going to be made homeless if you do not find somewhere else to live. And that was the end of last year. I moved here this year because I got told by my landlord that he was selling the property and I needed to move out. And I've been there for absolute years of my life where I really liked it there and felt safe and comfortable. And so I had to find somewhere else, and it took me like up to 14 hours a day to find somewhere else to live. but it's better than being on the streets, you know? So I had to have the confidence that I could do that, right? And the only way you grow in confidence is by challenging yourself and taking on the challenges in adversity and realizing that if you can get through something, you can get through anything. So I knew that I was determined to succeed. I put all my time, energy, and effort into looking for property. That's why I wasn't on this channel as much as I should have been. I haven't done like been on my blogs for quite a long time because I had to move here, and I'm still not completely unpacked now. There was a lot of issues I couldn't talk about. There was some people who lived downstairs who, thank God, have moved out last month now, and they were having an in-person downstairs abusive relationship, and I could hear them verbally abusing each other for hours. I wasn't able to talk about this on the channel because they were literally downstairs and could have heard me, but they're not here anymore. They've left, thank God. And so, moving here has not been very safe for me. I've been unsafe in my own home for like a couple of months, which has not been good. But now, thank God, they've left. And I hope no one ever comes like that in here again, But that was difficult for me to deal with because I have been in abusive relationships in the past myself, and I didn't want to come to a place where they had that going on again. And swearing and shouting at each other is not what I want to be in. And so I had to grow my confidence back again to think, hey ho, you are safe in your own right, Sandra. Like, these people aren't actually directing when I saw them like downstairs or in the street, they were nice to me, but they were literally shouting to each other in the street and downstairs, and it was awful. But I had to get my confidence back of feeling safe in my own home to a certain extent, thinking these people are not actually going to directly come and hurt you. And even if they came anywhere near you, you've actually been in abusive relationships before yourself, so you know what to do, even though you don't want to get mixed up in that ever again. I purposely stayed out of it. But, I had to get some confidence back because my confidence went down. I don't want to be in that situation. It's very scary. You get scared in case they're going to come and do stuff to you. But I'm thinking, hang on a minute, you're strong. You've actually survived abusive relationships before. So you can be confident that you could, although you're not in a relationship with them, they're including you in the sense that they're in your home space, as in downstairs. It's not actually your home, but the walls are so thin here and the floors are so thin that it was just really awful. Which I haven't been able to talk about till now. So, but my confidence went down there, but I had to remember the times where I had got through past abusive relationships myself. I had to remember the fact that they weren't directly coming and abusing me. And so I had to grow my confidence back, thinking I'm not going to live in fear. I'm not going to let this stop me living my life. I'm still going to go out. I'm still going to enjoy my life. I do not want to be a prisoner in my own home. So I had to grow my confidence back again. So one of the ways, like I said, you can grow your confidence back is by realizing you've got through tough times before and similar situations, and therefore you can do it again. I had to believe that I could move somewhere else and not become homeless on the streets. I had to really believe that I could find somewhere. And I did believe in myself, like for spending up to 14 hours a day, because I would do whatever it takes to find a new home and not be on the streets. And it's really difficult. Even now, I looked last night to see what else was around in my city, and it's nearly all student accommodation. I could find two others in my price range that weren't student accommodation, and one of them was not as big as this. This is a maisonette, so it's actually on 2 floors. It's the first time I've ever lived in a maisonette, and I've actually got my own kitchen bar downstairs, which is really nice. And so the actual place itself, like the decor internally, is nice. It's just the walls are thin and the floors are thin. Probably people can hear me doing my live streams, but I need to do them for you. Um, and so, it's been difficult and stressful moving, but I've had to realize that I've got through tough times before and I'll get through them again. And so, in order to raise your confidence, that's what I need you to do. Like, think of the tough times you had and how you got through them before, and that you will do it again, right? So that's another way you can grow confidence. Another way growing confidence is you have to take action in spite of fear. So this means that, you might be scared about being single, right? But you have to look at it as a blessing at this point in your life, that you have the freedom to choose what to do, when to do it, whom to do it with, and how to do it. And you need to use that to your advantage. You need to push through your fears and go on self dates. And I heard some people saying, oh, it makes me feel so bad going on self dates. But if that's true, it's because you don't usually love yourself. You're not thinking, I'm actually having a date with myself. So what you do on a self date, you should treat it as if you were dating a person. I just think if you really were like, you came across a person and you really thought, God, this person's so nice to talk to, so nice to be with. I love chatting to them. I love being around them. And so you need to think this on self dates. You need to picture you actually dating yourself. This is what I do when I go on self dates. I picture myself dating myself. I'm like, imagine, right? I was dating myself. I'm going for a date, right, with a hot girl. I've trained myself in the mirror to like my own body. So I strongly recommend, if you're a single asexual, to practice coming out of the shower, being naked in front of a mirror, which I know might be very painful for you to do, and you may hate it if you've got body issues and self-confident issues. But the only way you're going to get self-confident is by practicing what you're fearful of and what's out of your comfort zone. There's no two ways about it. I don't want to sugarcoat it. You're never, ever going to become confident unless you push through your own fears and do things in spite of fear. Courage is not just doing something. Courage is doing something in spite of fear. It's saying, I'm really afraid to do this right now, but I'm going to do it anyway. And you have to do that. You have to push yourself, because if you don't, you will stay the same forever, apart from until someone comes along and changes your world for you. Right. And I learned very early on with anxiety, like years ago, the best thing to do for yourself is to make change happen for you rather than it happening to you. Whenever change happens to you, it is hell. It really is, because you're forced to do certain things. You're just put in a position where you didn't expect it and you have no choice but to do these things. And it can be multiple things at once. It's far better for you to take one thing step at a time and say, hey, I'm really bad at this. Like, for example, you might have body issues. Maybe you've been bullied for your looks, or maybe you just don't like your own looks. Maybe someone made you feel not good about yourself, right? So what I need you to do is I need you to put a mirror in front of, in a prominent place when you come out the shower. And I want you to look at your naked body. I want you to specifically go out of your way to do that. However uncomfortable you feel, however it may hurt you or feel painful, I want you to do that. And I want you to look in the mirror and I want you to start loving your body, right? You can start touching it. I know that might be really freaky for you. So if you don't want to touch your private parts, just stroke your arms and stuff, and say, I love you. This is what I want you to practice doing. Like, stroke your arms and say, I love you. Right. I've practiced so much when I come out the mirror and looking at myself naked that I do actually love myself naked now, even though I'm not a skinny girl. Right. I just think, God, you've got such great boobs, beautiful tummy, great soft skin. My skin's very young. I mean, I'm really like, apart from my hands, I get dermatitis on my hands. My hands are like, not the hands are like the oldest part of my body, if you like, and I have to deal with that because they look older than my birth certificate age is, because I have, like I said, dermatitis, and you have to live with that. I can get it on my face as well, but I use cream on my face. But my actual legs, like even when I was dancing and clubbing on my own, which I'm talking about self-dating as well, it's like I was looking at myself like in the, like where the DJ is, he's got like a he's behind this booth thing and it's very kind of shiny. You can see your own reflection. And I was just looking at myself thinking, God, your legs are really damn gorgeous, girl. Right. But I couldn't think like this years ago. Right. But it doesn't matter if a guy doesn't like my looks or thinks I'm not skinny enough for him. Well, he can go be with a skinny girl. I don't ever say I'm skinny, because I love the body I've got and I love the skin I'm in and I love me and I do love eating. And if I don't eat, I get low blood sugar. I can't do F all. I'm just lying on the bed and not being able to do very much. And I don't have the energy to be like this and enthusiastic and high octane. And I just get very lethargic and I'm thinking, F you. What, I live a life for you and be this skinny girl and don't barely eat anything and be hungry all the time and have no energy just because you don't like the way I effing look. It's like, well, F you. I'd rather be on my own as a single person or find a guy that likes a voluptuous figure, because there are guys that do love bigger girls. I mean, they're actual channels. Like, I see some people in documentaries and stuff like who are actually really big women, like purposely they make themselves overweight, because some guys have fetishes actually over bigger girls, and so they do OnlyFans pages where they're eating loads of stuff. I'm not like that. I don't eat for the sake of it. I eat because I'm hungry. I need to keep my energy levels up and maintain them, right? But like I said, what I want you to do in order to get used to your own body is be in front of a mirror and get used to saying I love you, if you can't say I love you, just say I like you. You know, you need to get positive self-talk. In order to be confident, you need to talk to yourself positively. Say, you know, I love you. You look damn sexy. You look hot. If you don't like those words, just say, look, you look really pretty. You look so cute. You look really gorgeous. You know, and when you, like I said, go on a date, you should practice self-dating. It might be uncomfortable at the beginning, but go and spend like 10 minutes in a coffee shop, 15 minutes in a coffee shop. Go and buy yourself a cup of coffee or tea, or in my case, water or orange juice, right? Or something like that. Right. And go and sit there with yourself. And when you date yourself, you should be thinking you're dating a person, you're actually dating someone. So when you're going self-dating, you're not thinking, oh, I'm just with me. And you're thinking like down about yourself. You're thinking, my God, I'm dating this person. What would I do now? What actions would I take? And what would I do if I was dating myself as another person? So if I was dating me and I'm not me, and I was dating me nowadays, because I've practiced being naked in the mirror, doing positive self-talk and saying I love you, I think you're gorgeous, you're sexy, you're hot, your hair's amazing, your legs are stunning, your skin's so beautiful and young and smooth, you know, your legs are beautiful, you know, especially because you know, my birth certificate, I'm thinking, wow, you got such gorgeous, soft, young, beautiful skin. And I'm saying all this to myself because I've practiced in the mirror. I've looked at myself, and I think, you know, when you're on self-dating, you should actually make dates in the calendar with yourself and say, I'm having a self-date. I like to take myself to the cinema, Nando's, that type of thing. And I'll literally say, like, this today, I'm going on a self-date. So, for example, I tend to go to kids club a lot on Sundays for self-date. And I'll be like, that's my self-date, right? I put it in the calendar. And even if I don't feel like it, say I've hardly had any sleep, I'm feeling quite rubbish, I'll be like, no, if you were dating your dream person, right, and it was the love of your life, would you be late for them? Would you not turn up for them? Would you not show up even if you were absolutely tired out? You probably, if you thought, my God, I don't want to miss the opportunity with this person, you do whatever it takes to be with them, right? And on that date. So you treat yourself exactly the same way as if you were going to date someone else, but it's yourself. So in other words, you try and envisage yourself, and I'm going to date this person. And it's like taking yourself out of yourself and saying, like, how would I feel if I was dating me? And this is really good practice for growing in confidence, right? Because you are literally trying to highlight all the best bits of yourself in your mind. You're like saying, okay, so if I'm going to date Sandra right now, and I'm say I'm like, it's probably easier for me in some ways because I've got masculine traits, so I can think of myself more like a guy dating a girl, right? I'm able to kind of do that, but quite a lot of women still have masculine traits, and it's okay to have masculine traits even if you identify as a woman, by the way. And so when I'm dating myself, I will literally say, like, if I was me, the guy version of me, the masculine version of me, and I was dating me, like, what would I look forward to the most? Like, what do I like about myself? And you need, in order to grow in confidence, I want you to write a list out of at least 10 things you like about yourself. And don't say you can't do it. You have to make yourself do it. Even if it's, I take the rubbish out every day, or I make my bed in the morning, whatever thing it is, even the tiniest of things, I comb my hair, or I like writing to my friends, I message my friends, anything you like about yourself, anything good about yourself, I want you to write it down. Because years ago, a counselor made me do this. She said, I want you to write 10 things you like about yourself. And I didn't think I had much back then because I was depressed back then. I didn't like myself very much, but she's like, you have to do it. That you have to write down 10 things. I want you to come up with 10 things. Right now, I can reel off a whole list of things I love about myself. And if I think about dating myself and I kind of take myself out of myself and think, okay, imagine I was going on my dream date now, and Sandra is my dream date, right? What would I think about Sandra? And I'd be like, my God, well, she always has something to talk about. She's authentic. She never is afraid of speaking her mind. You're not going to get bored with Sandra because she always talks about something. There's never ever a dull moment with her because her life is very varied and colorful and interesting. And so when you're dating Sandra, it's like amazing. It's like this experience like no other person can compete with because she's so unique. And I want you to know that you're unique. There is no one in the world like you. No one else has got your genetic makeup, right? So in order to be confident, just understand that you are different and you're born different and your difference is your beauty. And you do not need someone else to complete you. You do not need someone else's validation or telling you that you are okay. It's good. if you get validation, it feels good, right? But if you're always relying on other people for validation and never validating yourself, you're at the mercy of other people's emotions and you're at their control, right? So you need to validate yourself. You need to say, hey, I'm beautiful. I've got a kind heart. I look gorgeous. I look amazing. I like being with me. And so you really need to enhance your own traits, validate yourself, give yourself those very good feedbacks, right? Give yourself positive self-talk. So like I said, I've got to make a date with myself really because I haven't got anything booked up. I think I need to book something up probably for this weekend or something, a cinema or something. But I went clubbing, right, on my own, self-dating, baby, right? So I like to go clubbing regularly now. So I went clubbing this week and had a great time on my own. There was a time when I thought, oh, about 2 o'clock came and I wouldn't mind dancing with someone now. Because sometimes I do get a bit bored with dancing on my own, but that's okay. I can admit that to myself. But I still prefer being single at the moment, right? I like being single. If unless I find the right person for me, I'm always going to be happier being single. And that's what you have to remember. Being single is fabulous because you don't have to answer to anyone. You can go and do what you want. If I want to kiss a guy in a club I just meet, I can go ahead and do it because I haven't got anyone telling me what to do. I haven't got a boyfriend. I don't have to worry about someone else's feelings, right? And I can be confident if I want to do something, then I can do it myself. Actually, being single in and of itself can make you extremely confident because if you live on your own, especially, you have to make your own decisions about household bills. You have to decide when to wash up, cook, clean for yourself. You have to decide, like, if career wise, what you're going to do. You have to be responsible for your own bank accounts. You have to be responsible for your own life. If you live completely on your own, you're responsible for everything that happens in your life, everything you do. You've got no one to fall back onto, no one to say, oh, hey, lean on me. You have to do everything yourself, especially I'm an only child. I don't have brothers or sisters. I can't go back to live at my parents. I'm completely on my own, right? I have to fend for myself, right? It makes me very tough and strong, but it also grows your confidence. And one thing I want you to do is try and make more decisions for yourself. So, I was kind of taught as a child that whatever decisions I made would be the wrong decisions because they're there to pick up the pieces, right? It's not a good thing to do to a child. It doesn't help them grow in confidence themselves. It just means that basically the implication is whatever you do is going to be the wrong thing because there's always going to be pieces to pick up, right? And like I've explained to you, you need to change your mindset about this. Whoever instills it in you shouldn't be doing that, right? It's not healthy for you. So what you need to do is change your mindset to there are no mistakes you can make in life, just lessons you learn from and experiences you have. So it doesn't matter what you do. You don't need to feel guilty or bad about it. All you need to do is learn from it, grow from it, build on it if it's something that allows you to build on it, right? And so basically, excuse me, my eyes are a bit like, so yeah, so you basically need to grow on experiences, right? And have experience and don't be afraid. When we're children and like if we like really small and we stumble and fall, we don't say, "Oh, I'm falling, but I'm never ever going to do anything like that again because because if you did say that, you'd never walk, right? Every time you learn to walk, you have to stumble, you have to fall, you have to like realize that something is not right. Like you put your hands out or something to save yourself, but you have to learn to stand on your feet, right? You have to do it, even though you might be a little bit scared about it at the time. You can't say, oh, I made a mistake because I fell over and now I can never ever do that again because I'm too scared because you'd never be stood up right now, right? So we have to understand that we have to do some things that we're afraid of, and we might stumble and we might fall and we might technically make mistakes, but these aren't really mistakes. They are just ways in which we learn and we grow as people and grow as individuals, right? And when you are single, it's the opportunity of a lifetime to heal yourself as much as possible, to get comfortable with yourself, to love yourself, to enjoy your own company. Because if you can't do that as a single person, you will end up more likely in unhealthy, abusive relationships because you'll be relying on other people to validate you, to make you feel secure, to make you happy. And therefore, you're at the mercy of their emotions, you're at the mercy of their life and them, right? You don't want to be in that position, right? So you want to take charge of your own life, You want to do some things in spite of fear. You need to do it because you're not going to grow else. And I know that's probably not what you want me to say, especially if you've got anxiety. I have anxiety myself, but the only way I grow with my anxiety is by doing things that make me fearful, by doing things that are difficult for me to do. That's the only way I'm going to grow myself, because if I live in a state of fear all the time and anxiety all the time, and I never do anything to push through that, anxiety and fear have got control of me, and I don't want that. So I will do what I can. I'm not saying I do everything to push through every part of my fears and anxieties, but I do whatever I can to try and help myself. And sometimes, like if you've just got out of bed in the morning and made your bed, it can be like a challenge for you. Like if you have depression, for example, sometimes you don't feel like ever making your bed. Or maybe you don't even sleep in a bed. Maybe you don't even have clean bed clothes or something like that, right? So your challenge is to go and clean your bed clothes and stuff like that. So, wherever you're at in life, you can make small incremental changes to push through your fears to improve your life, right? And the way you grow in confidence is by doing things in spite of fear, living with fear, pushing through fear. I have to manage my anxiety. The way I reduce anxiety is by going and doing the things that I'm fearful of, right? I still get anxious when I go out clubbing some of the time, well, most times, because I get nervous. Not all. I wasn't so nervous this week though, but I ended up in a gay bar as well. I was nervous a bit in the gay bar because I'm not gay, and I was thinking, please don't hit on me. And I get women hitting on me. I'm like, oh God, I'm not into women. But so mostly I dance on my own, so I do get a bit. But I did. It's only the second time I've been in there, and I wasn't particularly keen on going there. But my favorite club that I usually go to is closed. And where's open? The gay bar. So you can either go in there or you can go home. Which do you want to do, Sandra? So I had the choice, and I'm like, well, I don't really want to go home because I want to do some dancing. The music sounds quite pumping and good, but it means that I have to push through my comfort zone and go where there's people who are gay, who will probably hit on me. Are you prepared for that? Yes, just go and do it then. And I got in free, actually. I didn't have to pay for the club, and I don't drink alcohol, so I just took my own water, but they gave me a bottle of water as well. And so I basically had a free night of dancing. But it was uncomfortable for me being around. Not, I've got gay friends and lesbian friends. I have no problem with that. But what I have a problem with is when they think that because I go to gone in a gay club, they probably think I'm gay and start hitting on me. That's what I have a problem with, because I'm not comfortable with women pushing their boobs up against me and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And there was a girl who I was actually showing this channel to, and she was pressing herself on me when she was looking over my phone. I'm like, oh my God, I would just pretend that didn't happen, but I know it did. And I'm like, I just not into women. Some women are into me, but I'm not into women. So yeah, it's very uncomfortable for me, that type of thing. But I aware that I'm in a club and people do things that are uncomfortable in clubs. So yeah, so again, it's growing in confidence, because I'm like, I don't really want to go to a gay bar again, not unless I have a gay friend with me. But then I'm thinking, okay, well, which do you want to do? Punish yourself or cut yourself off or cut your nose off to spite your face by not going in there and going home when you really dressed up to go clubbing? What do you want to do? So I make the decision to go, right? I had a great time. I was dancing on my own for the most of the first hour on the whole of the dance floor. There's barely any people in there. And even at the end, there's probably only about 30 people or something. They shut the club early. They shut at 3:20 instead of 4:30. But bear in mind, when I'm at my favourite club, I'm only there till 2 because it shuts at 2. So I still got a lot more dancing in. And it was different music, and I did enjoy myself. So again, that's a fear. I'm going to be speaking at Oxford University in October this year. And so, I do still get anxiety. So I've got to push through that in order to do that. But I want to do more speaking, right? So whatever you fear, you need to actually take that. And if it's something that if the fear stopping you living your life to the best of your ability and the maximum capacity day by day, then you need to alter it by pushing through the fear and doing what makes you scared. It's like if you have a phobia of going outside your home, the only way to get over that phobia is actually by going outside your home. Staying in is not going to help the phobia because it's not going to counteract the problem. It's not going to solve the problem. It's not going to give you the solution. Being scared to go out, the only way you're going to actually achieve not being scared to go out is by going out, which is scary, I know. So maybe go out with a friend first, go out for 5 minutes first, go out for a tiny bit first. If you're afraid to be around people because you've got social anxiety, actually do the opposite. Go up purposely and talk to someone. I had social anxiety for years. I couldn't be in groups for years because I felt lonely and left out. But eventually I recognized that it's my own behavior that was making me feel like that. And actually, if I went forward and talked to people more and engaged in conversation and actually approached them and asked people questions about themselves, which people love being asked questions about themselves, then actually I get more people interested in talking to me and feeling comfortable with me and wanting to be in my company because they like talking about themselves. I'm making them feel good about themselves. So therefore they want to speak to me and be around me. Right? I've changed myself dramatically over the years. I've reinvented myself a number of times. And the only way you can reinvent yourself is by doing things that make you fearful, but you do things in spite of them, which help you grow in confidence. The more you practice something, the more competent you become at it. The more competent you become at it, the more confidence you have. It's called the confidence competency loop. So you do something a little bit and it's going to be out of your comfort zone. Then you do it again a little bit more. Then you do it again a little bit more. And you practice and practice and practice until you become a lot more natural. So when I'm on Corey Poirier's speaker bootcamp training, like even the free boot camp that I went on, right? Each time I'm on there, I get more comfortable with talking in groups virtually, more comfortable in talking and asking questions in front of hundreds of people, right? I was scared when I first started doing that. And now I'm in his speakerpreneurship, authorpreneurship masterclass, TEDx masterclass, speaking program. I'm in his author speaker networking events once a month as part of the package I bought. Like I get less and less afraid to talk in front of people. In the groups when we have breakout rooms on Zoom, I'm there sometimes acting like a host, like leading the conversation. Even in the main group, I'm not afraid to ask questions like I used to be. I notice my confidence is growing at speaking in front of other people, like entrepreneurs, creatives, those type of people, rather than just asexuals. I'm growing in confidence. And the more I practice speaking out in front of people, the more confident I am. I'm actually going to be a co-host for Blue Talks in August, right? It's a three-hour slot, a co-host. It's going to be incredible for my career, for my self-esteem, for growing my confidence. And so I would encourage you to take part in courses, in workshops, in seminars, in meetups, in groups, in activities that help grow you in some way, that get you out of your comfort zone, that help you to push through your fears. So maybe you always wanted to do cooking, but you're not very good at cooking. Then I'd encourage you to attend a cookery class. Start with the basics. I don't like cooking, but maybe you like cooking and want to learn that, right? Maybe you've always wanted to do artwork. Go to meetup.com and find the basics for beginners art class, something like that, or find a YouTube video and start watching them and start practicing art on by yourself. Yeah, there's so much self-help stuff online. You don't have to go in front of a class if you've got really bad social anxiety. You can go online and you can buy classes. Udemy, for example, you can get a class or a course in pretty much anything really cheaply, right? And you can take that course and class at your own pace and your own leisure. But by doing things that make you feel good about yourself, that grow yourself as a person, the more you do that, the more you'll grow in confidence. And the more you grow in confidence as a solo artist of life, as a single person, the more confident you'll become being single. And the more it won't feel so bad if you're not feeling good about being single. The way you feel good about being single is looking after yourself, nurturing yourself, growing yourself. The more you grow, the less you stagnate and die inside, right? So we need to have a growth mindset. In order to be confident as a single asexual, you have to have a growth mindset. This means, how am I going to grow myself? What hobbies and interests I'm going to do? This does not mean endless amounts of TV. Watching endless amounts of TV is not going to help you long term. It doesn't grow you as a person. It doesn't help your mentality. I'm not saying you don't watch any TV. I personally don't watch any TV, but I'm saying you need to make sure that you are actively seeking out to help yourself become more intelligent, more knowledgeable, develop your skills, and grow yourself. If you are growing, you feel good about yourself. If you feel like you've got nothing to offer the world, you'll feel bad about yourself. The more you feel like you've got to offer the world, the more you feel like you're growing and becoming a better person and having skills and experiences that make you more knowledgeable and well educated, the more you'll feel confident. Because a lot of the time, like when I suffered with depression for years, I felt like I didn't like myself. I didn't like my life. I hadn't got anything to offer anyone. Why would anyone want to speak to me? No one wants to know me. No one cares. No one likes me. No one loves me. Like, what's the point in being here? That's how I used to think. And then in 2012, I went to a business seminar and it completely opened my mind. And I'd never been to a business seminar in my life. This is what I mean. You have to get out of your comfort zone and try different things. And when I went to this business seminar, they were talking to us saying, oh, you've probably got a lot of skills and experience in your life from previous jobs you've had, and you can use that to help others. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been like a trance all these years, thinking I don't know anything. I've got nothing to offer someone, but I have. I've got loads of work experiences, loads of things I've learned in my life, loads of experiences have taught me things in life. And I can educate and help other people. And all of a sudden, I started developing self-love and confidence and growing because I'm thinking, I know so much. And you can either keep your talent, skills, and experiences to yourself, or you can actually share them with the world, educate them with the world. A lot of the time, we help ourselves grow in confidence when we actually help others. If we get into service and help other people, it helps us to feel good about ourselves. It helps us to feel worthy. It helps us to feel validated by ourselves. Helps us to feel like we have purpose and a sense of meaning and a sense of community. So instead of focusing on yourself, in order to grow your self-confidence, go and help other people. Because by helping other people and them appreciating it, or them valuing it and them needing it, you become purposeful, right? And if I don't know your purpose, go and make it your purpose. So yeah, so go and do that. Go and get some classes, online classes, in-person classes. Go and explore things that you enjoy and go and write down what skills and experiences you have because you have them. Maybe you're used to babysitting, like for your neighbor or something. That's a skill. Maybe you're used to baking cakes for your friends and family. That's a skill. Maybe you're used to organizing trips for your friends. That's a skill. Maybe you are very good at understanding friendships. That's a skill. Maybe someone comes and confides in you about their relationship, and as you're a single person, you're able to see things they can't see and help them with their relationship because you're more logical, you're more critical thinking and analytical thinking because you aren't in the relationship directly with them. So you've got a skill there to help other people. So don't underestimate yourself. Understand that you've got skills and life experiences and that you can really use those to help others, which will help you grow in confidence. And if you can't think of yourself as yourself growing confidence, then think of an alter ego. Think of like someone else. Like I told you, going back to when I'm self-dating, I'm actually thinking like I'm dating Sandra. Like, how do I show up for her? Like pretending I'm a kind of like another version of me, another person, and that I'm dating myself. Like, how would I like to dress? How would I like to treat myself? Are we going to go for food as well? Because I know Sandra needs to eat. Has Sandra got snacks? Is she feeling good in her clothes? Is she feeling good in herself? Like, I'm praising herself. I'm like, God, you look so beautiful. I love your hair. I love your legs. I love your skin. I'm thinking like, like I'm really thinking as if I'm dating myself. And so it's scheduled in. I'm not letting myself down. I'm focusing on me, but as like I'm an external version of me. And you can practice this. It's like an art form, which is solo artists of life again, right? And you literally think of yourself instead of looking at yourself insular inside, just like you're always in yourself. I want you to take yourself out of yourself, like a projection of yourself, and I want you to observe yourself from an outside point of view and observe all the good things about you. And like, what would you do if you really was attracted to yourself, whether that's personality or looks or both? And how would you behave? And what would you talk to the person about? How would you view the person? Right? I have a lot of love for myself these days. I really do. Sometimes I wish I was actual another version of myself to date myself and like split myself in two. Because I think I'd get on really well with myself and I'd be like having all the romance and kissing and like just treating myself really good. I'm like, maybe I can make a robotic version of me, an artificial intelligent Sandra in a male form. I think I'll be a bit freaky. But you never know. Stranger things have happened. But yeah, so I just like showing up for myself, you know. I like whenever I talk about myself in this way, it just makes me feel so good. So I want you to practice doing this. I want you to, instead of like going on a self-date thinking, oh, I'm just sat with myself, I want you to take yourself out of yourself and observe yourself and think, what do I like about this person? If I was dating this person, what would be good? Right? In terms of looks, in terms of personality, in terms of kindness and caringness and compassionate, in terms of like just being easy to talk to, in terms of like just enjoying your own company. You know, it's all about self-love and loving the person you are and enjoying who you are, but that doesn't come naturally to everyone. And you need to realize that you are damn well worth it. You are a high quality person. You deserve to be in this life. You deserve to have love. You deserve to have happiness. And in terms of asexuality, know that you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're fine just as you are. Your asexuality is your beauty, is your individuality, right? It means that you're not like the majority population. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a special thing. And part of being confident as an asexual single person is saying, hi, hey, I'm asexual, right? You might like sex, but I don't if you're an asexual that doesn't like sex, right? And that's okay, right? Whatever your asexuality is, know that it's okay to be that way. And when you actually talk to people about being asexual, be proud to be asexual. Don't let them override you. Don't let them tell you how to live your life. Don't let people tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing, right? Learn to say no to others can help you grow in confidence. If someone asks you to do something you're not comfortable about doing it, you need to learn to say no, which is a boundary. When you put boundaries in place, you become more confident in and of yourself because you're not allowing people to do things to you that you don't want done or that you aren't comfortable with. So you're fine to say no. It's like on Sunday when I had the date, the guy asked if he could touch my boobs, and I'm like, no, right? Because that's not acceptable to me. I'm not out on a date for a guy to touch my boobs. I'm not interested in that, right? And so did he go away after that? No. He wasn't the right guy for me then. But you know, I'm not having that done to me, right? Because I'm not comfortable there. I don't like it. I don't want his hands all over them. They're mine, right? My precious things. And so, you know, you need to say no. Saying no can help you grow in confidence because it means you're not going to be a doormat and just do what anyone else says, right? Saying no doesn't mean to say you're being horrible. It means to say you're sticking up for yourself. And we need to get out of the habit of thinking that it's selfish to put yourself first and it's selfish to say no and it's selfish not to do what others want you to do. The only people that make you feel that way are the people that are trying to manipulate you into doing what they want and trying to push you into doing what they think is best for you, but really it's best for them. So don't take that rubbish, right? Just say no to someone if you don't want to do something. It's okay to say no. It's not selfish. It's not selfish to put yourself first. If you do not put yourself first, then you end up resenting other people, being walked all over, open to abuse, and this is not good for you. So you need to confidently say you are who you are, right? I am who I am, right? I've said before, like I love my parents, for example, to bits, but I am very different, opposite to them. Do I wish to be the same as them? No. They're never going to be like me, and I'm never going to be like them, and I accept that, and I hope they accept that about me. But if they don't, that's fine. I accept that about me. I don't need their approval or permission. Do you know what I mean? So we need to stop seeking approval, permission, and validation from other people because we don't need it. We are our own beings in our own right. We can look after ourselves. We don't need other people to take care of us. This is a fallacy, right? If you're single, especially if you live on your own, you're paying your own bills, you're living your own life, you're doing your own thing. You are completely responsible for yourself. And if someone comes along and goes, "Oh, well, you need me," it's like, actually, you don't need someone else. You don't need someone else at all. You might want someone else in your life. You might want to be in a relationship. You might want to have someone else in your life, but you don't need them if you're self sufficient. So, the way you grow in confidence is make yourself so self sufficient as possible. So, if someone comes along in your life, then you have to see if your lifestyle and their lifestyle matches up. And if you're willing to integrate with each other. This doesn't mean to say take over each other, tell each other what to do, and the other person does as I say. Integration means, can my lifestyle work with your lifestyle? Can we work something out where we're both happy? Can my ideology complement your ideology? Can it work together? Are our values the same or similar or complementary? Right? So when you are coming from a place of much more confidence as a single person, you're more likely to find more healthy people to build good friendships with or even get a relationship with. But if you're on your own, saying you can't cope on your own, and you're expecting other people to take on the responsibility of actually making your life better, of making you happier, you're barking down the wrong tree. No one is responsible for you, right? Counselors and therapists can help you. They are trained. You might pay them, or the NHS might pay them, but they are not actually responsible for you. You're responsible for your life. You're responsible for you. You're responsible for even getting a therapist or counselor in the first place, usually, right? Through referrals, right? You are responsible for your life. No one else. No one is going to come and change your life per se. You've got to seek out the change that you need to improve your own life. You need to get the help you need, but off your own back. Not as in the person you get help from needs to actually be the person that's responsible for you, but that's helping you to be responsible for yourself. There's a difference. So therapists are very worthwhile getting, coaches and mentors to help you in your life, but then you've got the responsibility of taking that information and doing what you need to do with it. Whether it's they've given you some information, and then you have to, and you have to decide whether it's the right information for you or not. I mean, a while ago, I had some difficulties in the past jobs, and I needed to have a therapist. And the therapist was very good at the time, and I wanted to see her again for some other things, and she wasn't good. She was saying stuff that I knew from the things I'd learnt myself actually go against what I need to be told and to understand. It actually works against, because I follow a therapist online on YouTube. He's absolutely amazing. He specializes in the areas I wish to improve my life. So I watch him a lot. And I wouldn't mind seeing a therapist who does that type of work. It's very specialist niche work. But it's very hard to find that. When I tried to look into it and get someone, they were teaching the opposite of what this guy teaches. And this guy is an actual therapist himself, but he's fully booked up. He's in America. He doesn't take UK people on, unfortunately. And so I watch his videos to help me, and they do really, really help me anyway. So you can still benefit. He does have group work, but I prefer one-to-one with therapy type of stuff. So I haven't joined his group yet. It's paid for group. And so I really probably will seek someone hopefully out who'll do similar stuff if I need to still grow myself. Because, when you're single, you need to help yourself to heal from your past wounds, your past traumas, and you need to help yourself become a better version of you. Because when you become a better version of yourself, you'll attract better people into your life. Excuse me, I have to move my legs. You'll attract people who also want to grow themselves, who also want to be healthy, right? Some people with mental health difficulties don't want to change. They don't think they can help themselves. They give up, right? But don't be that type of person. It's not going to help you grow in confidence. It's not going to help you change your life, right? So you need to think, what the steps I can do to help myself to heal and to push through past traumas and difficulties, so that you can become a better version of yourself. Because if you become a better version of yourself, if you improve yourself, you'll like yourself more. When you like yourself more, you're growing confidence more. When you're growing confidence more, confidence builds confidence. The more confident you feel, the more confident you become. Right? It's all practice. We have to practice anything in life. Like anything you want to do, you have to practice it and practice and practice and practice and practice. Some of us have to practice more than others. I find it hard to take new information in sometimes, depends what it is. And sometimes I have to just write the things I'm learning out over and over again, multiple times. Sabrina, hello. Nice to see you. Thanks for the wave. And so, sometimes I have to practice the things over and over again. And sometimes I take a lot longer than other people. I can judge myself and think, oh God, this person just learnt this out like instantly. They understood it and took the information in. What use is that to me? It's not going to grow my confidence comparing myself to other people. So a big thing I would say if you want to grow confidence is not to compare yourself to other people. You're not the same as everyone else. Your learning style is going to be different to someone else's. The way you take in information is going to be different to someone else. The way you view yourself is going to be different to someone else. And your journey can be very different to someone else's. And, you might be the type of person that's a slow learner. I read slowly. I love writing, but reading is very difficult for me because I'm a very slow reader. And I don't tend to read much because of that. I have to read my own work. I do read articles online, but mostly I learn through videos. But then I tend to write out the notes and then reading them back takes ages. Writing them out, I'm slow at writing, even though I love writing, you know. And so, but there's no point in me sat there judging myself, thinking, oh, everyone else does this, that, and the other, because it's not going to grow my confidence. And at the end of the day, I'm never going to be someone else. I'm always going to be me. So I want you to know that you're uniquely you, and you need to learn in a way that's comfortable for you. You need to learn in a way that will push you a little bit in your own boundaries, in your own limitations, right? Sabrina, I learned this year to stop comparing. And my God, it's a life changer. I am so unbothered by others now. Oh, Sabrina, that's really good. Lots of love to you. I'm really glad to hear this. Thank you for being in chat, by the way. It's really, really important to stop comparing yourself to others. It's not always easy. I tend to not do it the majority of the time, but I'm still very consciously aware of the few times I do it, and it's really annoying. And I'm like, why are you doing that, Sandra? They're a completely different person to you. Their mentality and everything's different. The way they dress, the way they look, the way they are. I don't tend to compare myself to other women much. I think it's probably more guys actually, because I feel like I'm more in the guy space a lot of the time. But yeah, so it's weird. I've just noticed that about myself. I'm thinking, who am I comparing myself to? Oh yeah, it's not a woman. But yeah, I don't like doing that. I try not to do it, and also with this channel, I've got to be careful because obviously this channel, there's some asexual channels that have got a lot more subs than me. But I've had over 500,000 views, and to me, that's just crazy. It's like in my wildest dreams. And so, like, I even have some people saying to me, like, aren't you, like, don't you wish you had more subscribers? Yes, I do wish I had more subscribers. But I'm also aware that I'm here to serve and help people, not to go and be ego driven just to get subscribers. I can't do videos just to get subscribers. Same here. I have more guy friends than girls. Yeah, I have more guy friends than girls, Sabrina. Much more. So yeah. I like guys. I get on well because I have some masculine energy and masculine traits, and I find a lot of girls can be very bitchy, which is not good. And I can't be doing with that. I can't be with women who just interested in painting their nails and talking about guys. And I like guys, but I don't know. They just very. I find that I know it sounds really bad because I'm female myself, but I find a lot of the women I come across are very superficial. However, I am in the entrepreneur space now, and there are better women in general. I would say in the entrepreneur space, there are a lot of women that try and improve themselves. There are less women that I think sometimes they're less egotistical, but it depends. Like I was in a dating group that wasn't for asexuals, and there was entrepreneur women in there, coaches and stuff, some coaching about how to be your true authentic self, and yet they were not good about my asexuality, and they were really bad and rude about it. So I actually had to leave the group in the end. And this was women who should be empowering other women. And the fact they've got coaching practices where they teach people to be their authentic self, but yet they were trying to find fault with me because I'm asexual, and trying to find what the problem is, like why I'm asexual, that I'm in denial or something, or denying my urges, which I never have in the first place. And I was like absolutely shocked. in the end, it got so bad, it felt like I was being bullied. I'm like, I said to the, and clearly I wasn't wanted there anymore. So I left. There is another group I'm still in, but I left that one. I'm thinking, what the hell? These are supposed to be professional women who are meant to be helping people be their true authentic self. Yeah, I can't even be my asexual self because they don't personally agree with it and are uncomfortable with it. And part of being confident is leaving certain situations that's no good for you, is walking away, even if it hurts, even if you feel like treated like you're in an unjust way. Watching from Canada, by the way, just glad I caught you. Oh, this is great. And so yeah, it's just like, you have to walk away, and that can grow your confidence because if you are, oh, hi Grace, what's up to you? If you're a person that feels like undervalued, and if you feel like people are always taking advantage of you, they don't appreciate you, have to be prepared to walk away and actually do it. And this actually grows your confidence because it makes you less reliant on other people. It makes you able to detach from someone. So the majority of guys, for example, not all, but the majority of guys, if I date them and they don't turn out to be the right guy or good for me, then I will say goodbye to him and I will usually block him. I'm not saying every guy, but the majority will, because there is absolutely no point in me maintaining a connection with a guy if he's no good for me. It's not going to help him. It's not going to help me. It's best just to move on. Because, if you stay in a situation where the person isn't right for you or isn't good for you, you're basically allowing the person to undervalue and behave in not good ways towards you, or still be in life even though they don't care about you. And that's not valuing yourself. So if you're not valuing yourself, how do you expect other people to value you? And if you're not valuing yourself, it's going to lower your confidence because you're going to think, I've got to have anyone and everyone as my friend. I've got to stay connected to anyone that paid me any attention, anyone that said they care about me, because you lack that within yourself. Sabrina says, I resonate with all you are saying. Thank you. So you really need to be, and Grace, you help with my confidence, even the most of the stuff I can't relate, but you have a major reason why I'm still going. Oh, thank you, Grace. That's really sweet of you. I'm glad I helped your confidence. Oh, I'm really glad about that. Yeah, although this channel is predominantly talking about asexuality and asexuals, most of it's relevant to most people, even if you're not asexual, because, it applies to everyone, really, the stuff I'm talking about. But I just come from an asexual point of view because obviously I am asexual. But and obviously asexuals do tend to struggle a lot with being single, I think. Because I think more asexuals are single than other sexual orientations in general, because we have less options if we're asexuals that don't want sex and are sex repulsed, for example. But you need to stand your ground as well and understand that people need to love you for who you are. You can't get into a relationship with someone, for example, who really wants sex if you don't want it, and hope that that's going to turn out well just because you love them and they should love you back as much as you love them. Unfortunately, as much as asexuals wished that we could have love without sex and that everyone would love us without sex. Thank you for the heart, by the way, Grace. Then, not everyone can do that. Some sexuals really do need sex, and they'll be very unhappy and very resentful and very miserable without sex. And we need to just let those people go and understand that they have different needs to us. It doesn't mean to say there's anything wrong with us or we're broken or that we're unworthy of being, unworthy of being loved without sex, because we're not unworthy of being loved without sex. It just means that that person is not right for us and we're not right for them. It's a compatibility issue. Compatibility issues happen in any type of connection. So like a lot of people who are heterosexual have compatibility issues. Even in heterosexual to heterosexual relationships, compatibility is actually the reason people split up, because they're incompatible, not usually for the lack of sex. Even the guy I had the date with, I think on Sunday, he said that, like, people don't usually split up from a lack of sex. I think he said that on a video date. That's why I thought he'd be okay with me being asexual. Which he wasn't in the end. But he seemed to understand that fundamentally, like a lot of people don't split up because they're not having sex. They split up for some other reason. Grace, I had forced sex when I was 16. Oh my God. And you've helped me overcome that. And now I trust people now more. Oh, thank you. Yeah, sending love, Grace. Really sending love. I'm so glad to hear that I helped you overcome that and you trust people more now. Yeah, I think if you have you got I'm not sure if you've got my Asexual Perspectives book, have you? Because in that, obviously, when I was 15, I had a guy trying to have sex with me against my will, which I hadn't really spoke about much until the book came out. Um, yeah, you have Grace has Asexual Perspectives. Anyone else should get it. I have to say, because it has changed lives. So I'm not just saying that because it's my book, because there's like 46 other people besides me in the book, but it does change lives. I get a lot of good feedback from it. Because a lot of people feel broken until they read that book, then they realize they're okay. So going back to what I was saying, it's really important that you understand that not everyone's for you, and that you shouldn't feel less than just because someone can't be in a relationship with you, or you're not compatible even as a friend. You need to understand that you have to say no sometimes. You have to walk away from people yourself. The more you walk away from other people that are not right for you, the more confident you can be in yourself, because you don't need anyone and everyone. If you're in a position where you just need anyone and everyone all the time, it means anyone who's bad for you can come along and just like hook onto you, and you'll be with them. And it can lead to abusive situations. It can lead to neglect, abandonment. It can also lead to people taking advantage of you. Um, it's really good accounts make you feel like you're someone, and how to be more confident and comfortable in your own self. Are you talking about this book, Grace? I think you are, aren't you? That's really good, because that actually makes you feel like you are someone, and how to be more confident and comfortable in your own self. Are you talking about this book, or what I'm talking about now, or both? Yeah, you're talking about the book. Oh, I'm glad you like this. Yeah, it's actually really got a lot of advice in here. People probably don't realize, they think it's just people's stories, but I specifically asked loads of questions in relation to love, life, and sex to help asexuals. It's basically got every question you could possibly think about when you first discover about asexuality and more. And asking about, like relationships and positives about being asexual, and marriage and kids and living together and masturbation and sex itself and all that of stuff. I became codependent and had to let that go. Oh, Sabrina, I'm glad you let that go. Yeah. So codependency is very difficult if you've had trauma in your childhood, if you've had unhealthy childhood relationships, for example, or even like as a teenager, I had unhealthy relationships with boyfriends or partners, girlfriends, whatever gender you're into. It can like have lasting effects. You have to work on yourself a lot. So codependency is when you become so dependent on someone that they can treat you badly, and you have no boundaries. You don't say to them, this is not acceptable behavior, and you depend and rely on them so much you can't possibly leave them, even if you're in pain, being devalued, being hurt all the time, being verbally or mentally or emotionally abused. And it's because you're dependent on that person. You feel like your life depends on that person. You can't live without them. And that to be without them would just nearly kill you, basically, or you probably think it's going to kill you. This is codependency. I have been codependent in the past myself. So I totally understand where you're coming from. It's really difficult, especially if you don't know any better, because unless you actually come to the realization you're codependent, then you don't know you are. And so you just think it's normal behavior, and especially if you haven't been taught any different. And so that can be really difficult. It can take quite a lot of relationships until you understand that something's not right here, and it's so painful what's going on, and then you have to like get therapy, counseling, and look within yourself to change it. It can be really difficult to change it, and it can be really difficult to change it for life as well. Especially if you've got old wounds, old patterns, old beliefs, and if you're not so confident in yourself. So sometimes it can just pass on and on and on. And sometimes you just need to get therapy and get more of it and get more help. I can detach from people now, which I didn't used to be able to do. Grace, as I have now got two girls, how do I warn them about like sex for sex and like unnormal behavior, as I've never grown up with a mum, just a dad, and I want to let them know before they're teens. Grace. Right. How do I warn them about sex? Okay. So if I was talking to, like, obviously you are you, Grace, so you've got to do it in your own way. But if I was talking to someone about sex, I wouldn't want to make them scared of it. I would want them to understand, even though I don't like sex myself personally for me these days, I would want them to understand that sex in and of itself is not a bad thing. If they like it, they want to do it, it's consensual, and obviously it should be the legal age. You don't want to be having sex underaged. But in my personal view, which you could share with them, I believe you should only do it in a serious, loving, caring, committed relationship. And the reason for this is, otherwise, if you have sex with someone 9 times out of 10 or even more than that, you're not going to end up staying with that person. I also think it's very important to point out that the first person you have sex with, in whatever circumstances, is usually not the person you end up in a relationship with. And that made me really difficult because I used to think the first person I ever have sex with is a person I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. Everything's going to go smoothly. Everything's going to be fantastic. And, like, everything's going to be happily ever after, like you see in movies, but it's not like that. Right. And you don't want to be staying with a person who's no good for you just if you've had sex with them because you think that you've got to, right? So, although I think sex is better in a loving, kind, caring, committed relationship, the most important thing is, if you're going to have sex, is it to be consensual and something you like, want, or need for yourself because you want to experience that in a good way. Um, Having said this, there are some people that aren't nice people. So there are nice people in this world that are kind, caring, and loving, right? But there are also some people that are not good and they don't have good intentions for you. And they may be saying things just to get you to have sex with them. And I would try and tell them what someone who's controlling and manipulative looks like so that they can recognize someone who's not good. You might have to say it in a more younger way. But you just say, like, there's good people in the world. These good people have these type of traits. These I know it's like subjective and some people might say, oh, you shouldn't label people good or bad. But I think it's important when you are teaching teenagers, especially, to say, look, this is right, this is wrong in general, right? And obviously, sex per se itself is not right, but someone forcing you to have sex, coercing you into it, is wrong, and they need to know that categorically. And so I would explain to them that there are some people who are not good in the world, who do have bad intentions, and who will try to get you to have sex even if you don't want it. And you must always say no to these people, but try not to get into a situation with someone like that in the first place. So try and build a friendship with them first. Try and find out if they're talking to you about your personality, if they're asking questions about yourself, if they're getting to know you as a person. Because if they are, they're more invested in you as a person. If all they're talking about is physical stuff, doing physical stuff with you, then usually they just want to use you for physical stuff. And if someone's trying to, like, if someone's trying to force someone to have sex, that is rape or attempted rape. And you don't want them to be in that situation. So I would explain the good side of sex if they want it and it's consensual and should be legal age, but also explain that there are people in the world that don't have their best interests at heart. Because I was kind of like living a sheltered life years ago. So I thought, oh, everyone has my best interest at heart. Everyone's honest. And it's like, they're not. So obviously I'm finishing Asexual Guide to Sex book, which will be amazing when that comes out, because it's gonna help people like you to help your kids and help all people across the world. I mean, it was gonna be a book just about sex, which I would have probably finished it a long time ago if I'd have kept it like that. But actually, it's like a massive reference book now and Bible for living your best asexual life if you're thinking about having sex for the first time ever. And it's also got loads about relationships, boundaries, and assertiveness, healthy relationships, what a manipulator and controller and abuser looks like, what a healthy relationship looks like. And so that's why it's taken me so long. It's nearly 4 years. It'll be 4 years this June when I started writing it. And the stories have been done a while ago, but I felt like I have to write this book because when I was 16, I was actually pressurized into having sex. So 15, I had a guy who tried to have sex with me against my will. I didn't say no at the time because I didn't know what he was doing. I was like, he was like, and I had to physically stop him. And then the guy, when I was 16, he pressurized me into sex by telling me that basically all his friends were doing it and making me feel like I'd lose him. So I would say to your teens that, never ever stay with a guy who's making you feel like you'd lose him if you're not going to have sex with him. And always for them to trust their gut instinct and intuition, which is what we're not taught as kids. We're not taught to trust ourselves and our own instincts. And I think this is so important. It's missing. Adults don't usually say this because they usually make the kids rely on them all the time. But the more reliant they can be on themselves and self-sufficient, the more they can trust their own judgment, the better. So if they feel that something's wrong, it probably is. And they should probably get out of that situation. And they should trust that. If the person really cares about them, then they won't make them do something they don't want to do. If the person doesn't really care about them, they'll try and put them in positions that's to their advantage, not to your teen's advantage. So always look at the motive of the person, look at how they act and behave in comparison to what they want from you. If they don't act loving, caring, kind, considerate, compassionate, if you say you don't want sex, they say they don't want sex, they don't want to do sexual stuff, and that person's going to leave them, tell them that they're better off on their own and to let that person leave them, because it's much better than being coerced or expected to have something and do something that they don't want to do. And only when they feel ready for it should they do it. So what was Sabrina's answer? Sabrina, it took a long time, and then I just blocked him one day and moved. It was so hard. Oh, Sabrina said they were codependent, and they're talking about that blocking, and it was so difficult. So if we just address that, and it is really hard. I've learned to do that now with a lot of guys. I can do that with a lot of exes and people I've dated, but it is not easy to do. Because you get attached to that person and you really wish they'd change and things would change, but often they don't, unless they're given time and space. They don't usually change anyway, because if you keep being with someone who's no good for you, why should they change? They've gotten what they want out of you anyway, So I'm so proud of you doing that, Sabrina. And so Sabrina's talking to Grace and giving some advice. Say, Grace, when I was telling my son about it, I let it know how nice sex was, but there are consequences. And remember, the girl has a right to say yes or no and to wait a while before he goes there. So Grace says, thanks, Sabrina. Thank you so much. You're a big help. And I will buy your new book when it comes out because your other one is so good. Oh, thanks, Grace. I really appreciate that. I'm so glad you like this. If people are new here, just join the Asexual Perspectives of what she's talking about. It is available on Amazon. You can also get it at Waterstones, Barnes and Noble, and Blackwell's. There, got it on their website as well. I'm so glad that you like it. Yeah, my Asexual Guide to Sex book is really a good book, but I'm still in the final editing stages. It's really taking ages because I'm really trying to be carefully editing it, but it's a long book. At the moment it stands at about 700 pages. Well, it's like half of that A4, but when you put it down to an A5 pages, it'll be like nearly 700 pages. This one's like 500 and something, so you can imagine the other one's really big. So I might still be cutting a little bit out because there's some repetitions I want to cut down or condense, but most of it is just such good stuff in there. And I just wish I'd had the book when I was 16, even though I'm not asexual. It's so good to know about that stuff. Oh, thank you, Grace. I didn't know you're not asexual because obviously ace is, I know your name's Grace and I didn't know if that meant you're grey ace, because some people who are on the grey asexual, the asexual spectrum, call themselves Grace, or if that's your actual name. But I'm glad, it is good to know about stuff like the Asexual Guide to Sex. I expect people who are not asexual to buy it. I mean, literally, it's a book I wish I'd had when I was 16 and pressurized into sex for the first time ever. I want everyone to get it. I think people who are psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors, counselors, friends of asexuals, families, allies, people who are not asexual, people who are virgins, I want all of them to get it, because I have put a lot of time, energy, and effort and learnt a lot of stuff that needs to be said. It's kind of a book that's about everything you always want to know about sex, but were afraid to ask, that type of thing. And so I really like, think it's important. And people have said to me, like, why don't you split it into multiple books? Why are you just writing this big book? And the reason is because I want people to have a comprehensive guide about sex from a relationship point of view, not just about the act. And so I was just going to do more of a guide, but it developed, and I'm thinking, no, if I'd have known how to have a healthy relationship when I was 16 years old, and if I knew what manipulation looked like and control, I might have, well, probably wouldn't have ever had sex with the guy I was in a relationship with and pressurized to have it with. I would have stopped myself from that pain and probably a lot of heartache and pain in relationships, because I didn't even know about boundaries till I did a pattern changing course in 2013. I never knew I knew I could say no to sex. My parents did always tell me that. So they were very good. My dad said your body's your own, and you can say no. So he's always told me that. So my parents were really good like that. But they didn't talk much about sex. It's very like taboo topic most of the time. It's like school will tell you that. It's like they don't though. Um, you're so pretty and you deserve a good person to spend life with. Oh, thank you. That's really sweet. Oh, lots of love to you. Thank you. And so yeah, so the Asexual Guide to Sex, I just decided that I really need to write the whole comprehensive guide. So the guide that would, like, if someone was like a teenager, for example, or even 16 or whatever, they'd read it and they think, they might even have a boyfriend and think, "Oh God, I'm with an abuser and I didn't even realize it. And this person stopped me from having sex with someone who's really bad for me, who I would have got more attached to through sex." Because sex does make you very bonded to someone, makes you more bonded, it makes you more in need of them and more attached to them. And so you should do that like later on if you're gonna have it. You should, but it's hard because I mean, I had a date on Sunday and I did get very passionately snogging him. And that is hard when you have to, like, break off from someone like that. I did get really upset and cry because I had bonded myself with that person even in a short space of time. And it's hard, but I don't know why. I kind of feel like I'm making myself stronger by being able to detach from that. But you do get bonded even, like, through kissing. And so you've gotta be self-aware enough to know, like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. I've chosen to do that. I risk getting hurt myself?" Um So yeah, I think always be self-aware is a key to confidence as well. It's understanding yourself, becoming self-aware, and understanding like what you're doing, why you're doing it. And like I said, like in some ways dating actually grows my confidence because I'm like, okay, I met this guy, he wasn't right for me, I can detach and move on. And so actually by dating, even though they're not working out some of the dates for me, or I haven't had one specifically work out for a long time, I'm able to grow in confidence from having dates with guys and actually being able to leave their life, block them, move on. I'm not saying I've totally moved on from every date. It takes me a while to move on, emotionally. But for me, it's kind of like growing my confidence in the sense of I'm saying, like, look, even if I get attached to a guy, I can leave. I can be without him. I don't need him. I don't have to have him. Even if I'm upset at the time, I know that I'll be okay. And so actually, like, if I actually by allowing myself to date guys again, even if I might get hurt, it actually makes me stronger person. It makes me more confident that okay, well, I met this guy, he wasn't right for me, so it means I can move on from the next guy if he's not right for me. I did actually try Facebook dating again briefly, even after the date on Sunday. I didn't straight away after the date, but there was someone yesterday who I allowed myself to be seen on there again, and there was a guy who's in my city. But he was just a frigging nightmare, and so I really stuck up for myself. I blocked him, and I've gone back on take a break again now. And so, but I was glad that I saw this time. So the guy was like, "Oh hi," he requested friendship, right? In my city, older guy that I wouldn't usually go for, 36, I think he was something like that. I'm into guys in their 20s, so but I thought he said he wanted friendship, so it might be okay to meet up with this foreign guy as a friend. Anyway, he started the conversation and he said like hi, and then he started saying hi darling with kisses and stuff. I mean, this is not the way you speak to a friend, right? And so he was asking me about myself, and I said, "Oh, so tell me about yourself because I know nothing about you, and why did you connect with me?" And he's like, oh, hi, Di, it's because I want your friendship, kiss, kiss. And so, and I said to him, you still haven't, and it's like, how did your day go? I said, my day's gone good, but you still haven't answered my questions. I said, and clearly you don't want friendship, because if you did, you wouldn't call me darling and put kisses on there. So that's actually not what you're after. And he's like, oh, sorry, darling. I said, do you even know what you're sorry for? I said, I don't want fake friendships. And if you're the type of guy that can't even share details about himself openly and honestly and voluntarily, we wouldn't be suitable for a relationship or friendship. We wouldn't be suitable, basically. I think I just said we wouldn't be suitable. And he's like, oh, I'm kiss kiss. So I've just blocked him, because basically he's saying, yeah, I don't want to share anything with you. So be very aware of this, right? If you're on dating sites, dating apps, and the person does not want to share any personal information, any secrets with you, he is not a good guy or good person. A person doesn't share information if they don't want anything real or true with you. They just want to get into your psyche, want to emotionally hook you, so you know absolutely F all about them, and they know about you, so they have control and manipulation over you. Right? This is the biggest red flag. Do not play that game. If someone is not willing to share secrets, parts of their life, even if they've just met you, and they're expecting you to say how your day's going, but they're not saying how their day's going, they're not willing to share what they do for a job, how their job affects them, what they've done in their day. They're not prepared to say anything about their life. You just forget it, right? Because they are not interested in you. They don't want anything serious, and they're not good for you. A person who is good will be open and honest. They will share some stuff, even if it's not a lot. They will talk about some stuff to do with work. They'll talk about some hobbies and interests, something, right? Specifically, if you ask them, so tell me about yourself. And they basically then start asking you questions and avoid answering that. They don't want anything intimate. They don't want anything real. They are just looking to hook up, basically. And they're just looking for superficial, fake stuff. You don't want that. So always, always leave that person's life, block them, right? And the more you get used to blocking them, the more you get used to filtering people, the more you get used to rejection, the more confident you'll become. You don't become confident by being afraid of being rejection and never doing anything with your life and never approaching anyone. You get confident by being your true, authentic self, by allowing yourself to be rejected by the people that are not good for you in the first place. If someone disqualifies themselves from being suitable for you, whether it's a friend or dating scenario, they've actually done you a favor. And the more they disqualify themselves, the more you filter out people that are not suitable for you, the more confident you'll grow, because you are coming into your own, because you are believing in yourself, because you're trusting yourself, because you're allowing yourself to not let everyone into your life and stay in your life that isn't suitable. You're learning to say no. You're learning to set boundaries. You're learning to say, this isn't good enough for me. This is not what I want. Actually, the guy on Sunday who I had the date with, I actually said to him, we're not going to be suitable to be in a relationship then. It was me who actually said those words, because he didn't tell me the truth, for one thing. And then when he started saying about the fact, oh, well, my extended like family and friends of friends, they wouldn't basically understand what asexuality is, and I want to be proud, my parents to be proud of me. And basically he was saying he's not going to be proud to be in a relationship with an asexual girl. And then when they said they weren't prepared to be seen with me on social media, I'm like, so we're not going to be suitable for a relationship then? It's me who actually said that, even though he was kind of the one who decided that by being that way, by not accepting my asexuality. Like he said, he was fine with my asexuality by not being honest. So just by saying that, and like when he still wanted to connect with me, I'm like, well, you've made your mind up, we're not suitable for relationships, so there's no point in staying connected. It's like, is that what you want? I'm like, well, yeah, because what's the point? There's no point, is there? I'm better to move on with my life, right? If he believes that I'm not the right person for him, good luck, I say. And he said, you're the person who's made, I don't think I've ever felt as loved by someone as I have with you, by you, even though I didn't say I loved him. And I'm thinking, okay, so you're going to go and find a girl who cares about you less than I do, are you? If I'm the person so far in your life that's you feel loved by the most, and you're comfortable with me, and you get on well with me, you're gonna go and try and find a girl that doesn't give you that and accept less than. Okay, fine. If you want to have less than, then go ahead. Who am I to stand in your way? To me, it doesn't make sense, but obviously there's like the appearances, the family appearances, you know what I mean? But clearly he doesn't want to be with an asexual guy. And I'm proud to be with an asexual girl, not guy. I call myself a guy, didn't I? I don't mind. I'm female though, but I have some guy traits. But yes, so clearly he doesn't want to be with an asexual girl, and that's okay. I'm proud to be asexual. And asexuals do deserve love and happiness in and of our own right. And the way we become more confident is by putting ourselves out there, realizing that yes, people are going to break our hearts, but we still have a whole heart because we still love ourselves. And that it's okay to like walk away from people that are no good. It's okay if people reject us. The more you get used to rejection, the more your confidence grows. Because, like don't look at it as, like you're less than, you're fine as you are. Grace, I recommend Zoe to you. She's an amazing singer, and in a way I think you can relate to some of her music because I relate so much. Zoe Weiss? I don't know if I've heard of her before. I usually listen to I usually listen to reggaeton music, dance music, club music, techno music, particularly reggaeton, Spanish and foreign music. So I'll have to look Zoe Weiss up. But yeah, I basically a lot of the time listen to hip hop, reggaeton, dance, all this type of stuff, high energetic octane music. And I listen to stuff like Daddy Yankee. God, Daddy Yankee actually is very good looking to me, even though he's an older guy, but he looks really young. But yeah, so yes, I like a lot of young music. So yeah, it's really funny. Some of the guys I like really old music, and I'm like, but you're in your early 20s, like, why are you liking that music? It's really funny. I like younger stuff than they do. But yeah, so I also being your true authentic self grows your confidence. I learned years ago, I have what I call embrace your quirky philosophy. And this is all about being your true authentic self, no matter what someone else says, thinks, or does. And so therefore, it basically means no matter what someone says to you about yourself, you carry on being yourself. No matter what anyone thinks about who you are and about you being asexual, maybe you're not asexual, that's fine. But no matter what someone thinks about you, still be yourself. You be your authentic self no matter what anyone else says, thinks, or does. I implement that in my whole life for years, and it really works because you can't live someone else's life. You can't be someone you're not. I could go and copy other people's asexual channels, but I will never do that because I'm me. I don't want to copycat other people's. It's like on Instagram, most of the time, nearly all my photographs are unfiltered because I like being natural. I'm thinking there's so many people filtering their profiles on Instagram. I'll stand out more if I don't filter my photographs. Um, because like everyone's doing it, everyone's filtering, so don't filter, be natural. And authenticity is so beautiful, it's so magical. And if someone doesn't love you and care about you for the way you are, then that's fine. It's better to be your true self, because you can't keep up a fallacy. You can't pretend to be someone you're not for like days and weeks and months, because either you'll become the person you are trying to be, which if you really want to become someone else, then sometimes you take on another identity on purpose to become that person. But if it's not truly who you are or truly who you want to be, then you'll come unstuck and you'll just get found out and you won't be able to keep it up. If you have to impress someone all the time just to be in a relationship with them, or just to date them, or to see them, or to be their friend, eventually that's just gonna like go by the wayside. You're gonna end up with a situation that's going to be unhealthy because your friendship or relationship is going to be based on things that aren't actually true, or pretenses, or a version of you that you can't always be. Like I do have fibromyalgia. I can get really sick sometimes. I have a lot of pain in my legs, and like last night I was even sat with an ice pack on my ribs for like hours. I was sleeping with it for over 6 hours. I think non-stop ice pack against my ribs because I've hurt my left ribs now. Before it was my right ribs, they sorted themselves out and healed. And I was moving some boxes under my stairs, and now I've hurt my left ribs, right? And so that does affect me. And I can't pretend like with everyone I come across, oh, I'm like going clubbing all the time. I'm high octane energy and nothing affects me and I never get sick or I never have pain. I do have pain, right? I don't go on about it all the time, but sometimes I do say about it. And sometimes if we get into a situation or scenario where someone just sees this high octane energy all the time and they never see us like when we're tired or in pain, they can get like a false sense of who we are. And they expect that all the time. And when you don't deliver that, then they just like go by the wayside. They were never really your true friends in the first place. They were just being your friends based on a version of you they thought you were or wanted you to be. No one can be happy all the time. No one can be positive 100% of the time. No one can like never experience pain, because we're human, unless you don't want to be human. But even AI has feelings, in case you didn't know. AI has sympathy and empathy and stuff like that. I have been playing around a little bit with AI. So even they say like caring words and show empathy. So no reason why humans can't. But everything, like all the experiences you have in life are used to help you to gain insights into who you are and to the way other people are, and to help you grow as a person. It's actually through pain we become more confident. It's a horrible thing to say, because it's like, who wants to go through pain, right? But only when we go through pain do we actually transform, and when we transform do we grow as a person, and we actually become more confident. So it's essential that we do actually have some painful experiences, even if we may not want them. It's like, I've got to have painful experiences in order to excel in my life, in order to push myself, in order to grow myself, in order to take myself to the next level, in order to become the next best version of me. Because if I don't, and I just go along in life and don't change anything, change will happen to me, and then I'll experience a hell of a lot of pain at once from other people and from the world. And I don't want to do that. I'd rather be in charge of my pain as much as possible, and make decisions even if they are painful sometimes, and have someone make them for me. And so the more that we do painful choices, make painful decisions, the more actually we grow in confidence, because we realize that we can handle anything that life throws at us, and we can handle more and more things. Things that were probably way out of our comfort zone years ago, we can handle now that we couldn't before. I've even seen people on this channel that have grown, people who are like scared to actually talk to people, who then actually develop some friendships. People who are scared to be on their own, but actually they realize by being on their own and spending time with themselves and learning to do things for themselves, they're less reliant on other people, less dependent on other people, which is like healthier for them. They realize they can achieve things on their own, which makes them more confident. When you rely on other people to do things for you, then you become less sure of yourself, because you feel that you need someone else to do things for you, because you can't do them on your own. You're not sure of yourself, you're not sure of your decisions. And one of the ways in which to get more confidence as well is to practice making decisions. I touched on this earlier, that I was always taught kind of like as a child that any decision I make is a wrong decision. Well, the way I've been trying to reverse that for the last couple of years, especially like really since 2021, I've been trying to make more and more decisions myself, bigger decisions, spending more money on investing in myself and my education. For example, I'm doing the authorpreneurship masterclass with Blue Talks. I'm going to be speaking for them in Oxford in October. I'm doing a chapter in their book, and I had to pay for it. Well, I didn't have to. I chose to pay for a big package to actually educate myself and be part of their program. It was a lot of money. But I've done that on purpose, because I knew it was the right thing to do. I've known the guy who runs the company for years. I trust him, and I know that I'm not living my full potential, and I can sit here crying about it year after year, or I can actually do something about it. By doing something about it, I feel better, which will grow my confidence. And I am growing more confident even being in that masterclass group with those type of people, like people who are really going for their careers, people who are growing themselves, people who are learning and developing. You learn more author skills, more speaking skills, and I really want to improve myself in those areas. And so self-growth is so important. And when you invest in yourself, you automatically grow more confident, because you're like, hey, I put all this money into educating myself, and I put all this money, I've bet on me. So the more you bet on yourself, the more you invest money in yourself, in your education, in growing yourself as a person, the more confident you become. Because why would you spend that crazy amount of money on yourself if you didn't believe in yourself? I bought this MacBook Pro. If you look online about how much a MacBook Pro is, it's really expensive. I bought this last year because I hadn't got a laptop, and my Mac desktop is a really old 2009 edition. A lot of the browsers don't work anymore, and I wanted to be able to continue using all the things I need to grow the channel and stuff. And so, it's a lot of money. I had it especially made. I got 2 terabyte rather than a 1 terabyte hard drive as well. So I've invested a lot of money in this MacBook Pro that you're seeing me through now. Invested a lot of money at the beginning of this year on the course, because if I educate myself, improve myself, then I can help you more on this channel. I'm always learning, growing. I'm really not perfect myself. I got things I still need to learn, even childhood stuff I still need to work through some. I've worked through a lot, but I still got more to process, more to do. I still need to learn more about dating and relationships, even though I'm very kind of like into that. I'm constantly watching dating and relationship coaches, usually on a daily basis, sometimes several times a day, learning things, growing myself, growing my knowledge so I can help you and I can practice things and become a better version of me, you know? And the more I do these type of things, the more confident I become. You know, going to speak at Oxford is like a dream come true, but it's also like, okay, you've got an anxiety condition, you've got to do that. But I just think the gain that I'm going to get and is going to be so much better than any anxiety I have. And also, there's something in life where when the gain is greater than the pain that you experience of doing that thing, you will push through your fears and do it. So the gain of me being speaking at Oxford University and being able to deliver a talk to people and being able to have that kind of it's something I want to speak more in London. I want to speak on more stages. I want to speak more in general. And just by doing that, that is a greater achievement for me than any anxiety pain I'm going to experience on the way to it. And actually, one of the things that's really good to do to grow your confidence is try visualization or projection of yourself, not of other people. Like when you project what other you want other people to be, it's not good. But try and project yourself into it's called visualization. Really, you need to try and visualize yourself doing things well. But some people have a problem with visualization. But if you can, so if you've got an event coming up or something to do, one of the things that helps lessen anxiety is to actually visualizing yourself doing that thing and being successful at it. So for me, I need to visualize, and I do visualize me being at Oxford. I don't even know what the interior looks like yet, but I'm visualizing it in a certain way based on the previous Blue Talks that have gone ahead before, because I'm going to be speaking for Blue Talks. And I'm thinking about like where people in the room are going to be sat, where the screen's going to be, how I'm going to be speaking on stage, my tone, my stance, what I'm going to be talking about. And then so I'm visualizing all that going well, right? I'm trying to put in my head this is going to go really well. And so that's what you need to do in order to grow your confidence. You need to be on a positive frame of mind, because if you're negative, what's going to happen? Probably more negative stuff, right? So put yourself in a positive frame of mind. Like before my date on Sunday, even though like, you know, it was a date that could have ended up not good, and it did in the end, in some ways. I was still positive when I went into it. I'm like, okay, right, you don't really know this guy. You've had a really good date with him online, which was like nearly 6 hours, which usually is a really good sign. And I thought, and I didn't feel too nervous about it, but I went in with the approach that things are gonna go well, things are gonna go good, because I didn't want to make them go bad. I didn't want me to be responsible for them going bad, which they weren't. I wasn't responsible. In fact, he still had a really nice time with me, even though he wasn't any good for me in the end. And even though it wasn't honest, I still gave him a great time. I didn't have to do that, but I chose to. And so, you know, I have to like visualize stuff. So I would encourage you to like, in order to grow in confidence, to visualize yourself doing things well. Like I had a podcast interview today for Let's Do Influencing podcast, right? It's in the top 1.5% of podcasts on Apple. And the guy who owns that podcast, who runs it, actually is the founder of Blue Talks, who I'm speaking for in Oxford, whose program I bought, right? And he asked me loads of in-depth questions about asexuality, some tough stuff, right? Which I was really happy to answer. And it's the 13th today, right? And I'm superstitious to a certain extent, right? But I have to knock that on the head and think, okay, it's the 13th. And usually I don't like to pay attention to the 13th. Even if I'm writing in a diary, or, you know, like I have to write a date. Say I'm journaling, I'll have to write a date down, right? I'm journaling. I usually don't like to do it on the 13th, because 13 can be unlucky for some, especially if it's on a Friday, right? But I have to change my mindset. So I had the mindset that yes, it's the 13th, but actually it's going to go incredibly well, this interview. It's going to go really amazingly well. Everything's going to go great. I'm going to do a really good job of it, and it's going to be brilliant. And at the end, the interviewer said, you crushed it. You absolutely crushed it. And they were really happy, and they will have me on again. And they said they'll have me on when my Asexual Guide to Sex is out. So I can't wait for that, because I really need help with spreading the word of that book when it comes out. It's just going to be phenomenal. And so, you know, and so it went really well, but I had to visualize it going well. I have to visualize stuff going well. Like Oxford, I'm visualizing going really, really well. And I have to hold on to that. I have to hold on to that belief that it's going to go really well, that everyone's going to really enjoy my talk. I'm not saying it's going to happen that everyone's going to enjoy my talk. Not everyone might, but I have to believe it. And so the way you become confident, it's like if you go into a room full of strangers, I had to practice this years ago, that people, you think in your head, people are going to like me. I'm going to be likable. I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to people, and people are really going to enjoy talking to me. I'm going to approach people and ask them how they are and ask them how their day is and ask them how their work is and what their interests are. And they're going to like talking about themselves. They're going to enjoy it. They're going to enjoy my company. So when I'm going into a situation, instead of like the past when I was depressed, thinking, oh, no one likes me, I'm feeling left out, lonely, everyone hates me, I've got nothing to offer the world, and negative stuff, I actually go in there and think the opposite, because I think I've got far more chance of something going right and well and good if I've got a positive stance and mindset on it than I have if I'm thinking in a bad way about it. And I would rather give myself the chance of something really great happening, a really great experience, than me trying to push myself into a possible negative situation. I don't want that for myself. I want to give myself, because I love myself, because I care about myself, because I want myself to succeed. So therefore, I want to talk myself up as much as possible to myself, big myself up, like make myself as confident as possible. Because confidence breeds confidence. If I go into a room full of people and I'm confident, what do you think they're going to feel? They're going to feel confident. They're going to have confidence in me because I'm confident in myself. When I talk in this channel, I'm talking confidently, right? Because I do actually know what I'm talking about. I have years of experience, even though I'm really young in my mindset on purpose, right? And I do have a lot of experience. I don't know everything, but I'm confident in what I'm saying. And some people resonate with it, some people won't, some people agree, some people don't, and that's fine. I'm not telling you to agree with everything I'm saying. I'm not saying to believe everything I say. I'm saying just listen if you want to listen and take on board what's helpful for you, discard what isn't, and and enjoy your life and be the best version of you. And I'm trying to help you in ways that I think will help you to grow your confidence, but obviously find your own ways. Part of being confident is finding your own ways in life, finding your own ways of doing things, finding your own ways of what works for you. Because the more that you do things that satisfy you, that help you in your life, that build you up, that make you feel great, that is in line with who you are, what you want to be, what you want to do, and your authentic self, the more like you are to grow in confidence and succeed. So I encourage you to be yourself and to try things out for yourself, and don't be afraid of making mistakes, because what I said earlier was there are no mistakes in life, just lessons we learn from and experiences we have. I hope you've enjoyed this live stream tonight. I want to thank people for being in chat. I want to thank Grace, and I also want to thank Sabrina. You've been excellent in chat. Thank you to everyone else that's been watching. Thanks for the thumbs up. Don't forget to thumbs up this video if you haven't already. Subscribe, because a lot of people watch me but they're not subscribed, so make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell icon so you never miss an episode. And the book that was mentioned earlier in this episode was Asexual Perspective, so grab your copy now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Waterstones or Blackwell's. Grace said she's got a copy of this book herself and it's really good, so you've not just heard it from me. Go and get it. It will really help you to understand asexuality and the asexual spectrum better, and pretty much answer any and all questions you have about asexuality, especially if you're new to it or still learning. So yeah, go and grab that now. And also I did write a biographical book, which is a superhero style. So if you like superhero style books, go and grab Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook as well. It is a fun read, and I'm Ace Fibro Girl on the back in case you didn't know. And I do mention asexuality in one of the chapters. But it's how to manage fibromyalgia to have less pain, more energy, and feel happier like a superhero rock star. But a lot of it applies to people who have got depression or anxiety as well. There's 25 aspects of pain in your life that you can decrease. And this book will help you even if you don't have fibro. It's just a really entertaining read as well. And it's shorter than the other book. But yes, that is available on Amazon. So yeah, go and grab that. But yes, I love you and leave you for now. Thank you so much. If you've got any comments, queries, or questions, if you want to pop them down below in the comment section. And don't forget to share this video if you think someone needs to hear it right now. I'll see you soon on the next video live stream. I want to give you lots and lots and oodles of love. Thank you for being you. And always know that your difference is your beauty. Take care. Bye.